Hi, mystery writers. Welcome. And I hope it's all going well with your writing. I just finished going through my manuscript, which is going to the editor on Saturday. I went through several times. Editing is a giant, detailed process. Goodness. Anyway, today I thought I'd talk about something. Well, I wanted to talk about epilogues, and okay, I'll give you my conclusions at the end about how epilogues fit with mysteries. It's actually a literary device almost as old as storytelling. Reedsy defines an epilogue as a section or speech at the end of a book or play that serves as a comment on or a conclusion to what has happened. Okay, that doesn't really help much, does it? It kind of comes after the story, all right? So from classic Greek plays to J.K. Rowling, authors have used epilogues to follow up on characters after the dramatic climax of the story. A thriller epilogue may show the protagonist healing from almost mortal wounds and uniting with a love interest, for example. The epilogue is not the end of the story. That's really important. It is an addition after the dramatic climax and the conclusion. So for your mystery, the epilogue is going to come after the revelation of the villain and after any conclusions that happen about what happens to the villain or what decisions your protagonist sleuth has. So the epilogue actually comes after the story is resolved. So if you're going to use an epilogue, first you have to have the whole complete story, beginning, middle, end, conclusion, resolution, all that stuff. The epilogue is extra. All right? Novel conventions have changed, and readers don't look for a story of what happened to all the characters after the drama ends. And that's really true. But you can use an epilogue in your novel if you remember to stay with the story you just told. And like any scene in the story, the epilogue gently moves the story forward to a final emotional feeling for a reader. And that's really important. How does your reader feel when they get to that last page of your book? So, don't introduce new characters in the epilogue. You stay within the story. It's all about the story you've just concluded. One way you can use an epilogue is when your reader has an emotional connection with your character because you've written a great story. They want to know how the character eventually fares. So give them emotional impact the events in the story have on the character. Hold on, somebody's calling me. A final personal revelation, a healing, or even an emotional wound that is healed. So you're going to reveal the character's destiny within the scope of the story. Remember, this is not a new story. This is something that continues after your story has happened. Some people use an epilogue to set up or continue a series. They use an epilogue to lead readers toward the next book in the series. And you need finesse to make this epilogue work. Focus on raising questions rather than creating a cliffhanger. A cliffhanger can make readers feel cheated. Wait, this isn't the whole story? You know, there's like, I got to the end of the book and now you're telling me there's more, so don't do that. Instead, use your epilogue to create questions about what happens next in your character's life and make that a twist, something unexpected and new in the protagonist's life. And the series epilogue takes pre-planning because you're set up the characters and events that lead to the twist early in the story, so it feels to the reader like part of the story, not a tacked on piece. I think I'm going to stress this again, that the epilogue is part of the story. It's just that it comes after the conclusion. So it's one more bit of information, usually about your protagonist. The epilogue can be as simple as creating questions about the protagonist's relationship with another character. And also, especially if your conclusion in your story has been very exciting, an epilogue can release tension. You know, it's like all's well that ends well. For a high impact story conclusion, it gives the reader a soft landing. Remember, this last part is the emotions that your reader feels, how they feel at the end of reading your book. That's really important. It's the last impression they have, the thing they carry with them after they close the book. So the excitement's over, the villain got her just desserts. So you invite your hero into, you invite your reader into the hero's world in an aftermath of restoration and calm. No need to make it happily ever after, just a visit with the protagonist changed in their new everyday world. Okay, those are some of the ways you can use an epilogue. Let's look at some ways not to use an epilogue. I mentioned a couple, but now let's really touch on them. When the story's over, it's over. Not every story needs an epilogue. As an author, discernment is your guideline for creating an epilogue. Avoid epilogues that detract from the story. That's a real catch if you're thinking about writing an epilogue. Remember, you want to have that final emotion that your reader leaves your story with. That was a terrible sentence. Anyway, you want to have that final emotion keyed into the overall story. So you want to avoid epilogues that detract from the story. And if you're considering adding an epilogue, let's look at some of the things you want to avoid. One is to cover up a weak ending. It's not a tool to make up for a weak ending by adding more material. Instead of writing an epilogue to explain the ending, go back into your story and rewrite. And make the climax of your story dramatic and bring your story resolution in the conclusion. Remember, there's a whole book, okay, the whole story, and then, oops, over here is the epilogue. It's just a little bit more. So don't use it to end your story. Your story's already ended. You don't need to tie up every single thread in your story. Readers actually use their imagination to live with your characters. So give your reader the freedom of their imagination to let the characters live on after the story ends. You don't need to use an epilogue to tell readers what happened to the mousy librarian who appears once in chapter 3. Let your readers imagine. And the other thing you want to watch out for is extraneous anticlimactic details. Remember, the story is over. Don't use the epilogue to add details about characters after the story has ended. Use the rule of thumb about adding to the story. Readers don't need details from your character background work about how they are living 5 years from now. Details like these leave the reader with an unsatisfied feeling on the ending of the book, just exactly the thing you want to avoid. So let the story be so it comes to a natural conclusion, so your readers enjoy a sense of completion and the end. Basically, the epilogue choice is yours. The main guideline to use when deciding to use an epilogue or not is the satisfaction your readers will feel. So think about the pros and the cons, and before you decide to reread the last quarter of your book to make sure your climax is strong and your conclusion is a satisfied reader win, just make sure that that conclusion is strong in and of itself, all right? Author Jamie Gold nails the fiber of an epilogue. She says, true epilogues usually include a time jump or a significant change of tone, circumstances, point of view, and they're titled as epilogue to prepare readers for that jump. If not, stories don't require the shift. Okay, that's it. The choice is up to you. Climax, resolution, denouement, and epilogue or not. All right, I hope that helps you. What I wanted to add on about mysteries is something that I stress in the Write a Killer Mystery course, and that is that once your sleuth reveals the villain, that's pretty much it for your readers. They aren't going to go too much further than that. So you want to come to a very quick conclusion once that villain is revealed, because mysteries are a puzzle, and once the puzzle is solved, that's it for mystery readers. They may love your characters, but don't dwell too long on that after that big reveal, because that's what readers like. So you want to end with or without an epilogue. You want to end with a very satisfactory feeling for your reader, because once they close the book, you want that last feeling to linger, because it's the thing that when they think about your book after they've read it, it's that feeling they feel. They go, oh yeah, I remember, wow, that was really amazing, you know. I never guessed who did it until the end, or whatever their feeling is. So epilogues, I think, are a risk for mystery writers in that you're carrying on more after you've had the reveal and the resolution. Okay, it's up to you, but I just wanted to kind of go into that in detail. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what makes what you how you think. How can I say this? I'd love to hear your thoughts about how you think a mystery works in. Man, I cannot talk today. How you think an epilogue works or doesn't work in the mystery genre. So leave your comments. I'd love to hear what you think about all this. All right, so thanks for being a member of Mystery Writer Studio. Please share your ideas, your comments, where you are in your current mystery writing journey. And I will see you next week. Let's see if I can figure out how to turn this off now. Here we go. Finish.